G'day everybody, my name is Elliot Waters and you're listening to the Dysregulated podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. Today's episode is all about my ADHD and how it is doing its best to bring me down. But before we get into that, if you're enjoying the show, feel free to like, subscribe, give us a rating and share it around with your mates. And you can follow the show on Instagram at thedysregulated.podcast. That is thedysregulated.podcast. Okay, so as I said, today's episode is about ADHD, and I'm going to tell you about my morning and how ADHD has contributed to bringing me down. Today, I'm coming to you very frustrated and annoyed because I had some specific goals that I wanted to achieve this morning and I have not been able to. So I want to preface this story by reminding everybody that at present, I'm not being medicated for ADHD. In the past, I have been with stimulant medication like Vyvanse and dexamphetamine, but at present, I'm not on any stimulant medication whatsoever, which I think is contributing to the events of this morning, or contributed to the events of this morning and the last couple of days as well. So this is what happened. So I wake up at a normal time and I thought, right, before I get started with today, I need to get some breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day after all. There's a bit of wisdom and insight for you. Breakfast, it's important, especially for mental health. But in saying that, I thought, right, I need to get breakfast, but because I'm so disorganized, I have no cereal left. I've run out of cereal and I'm still yet to go to the shops to get some. So I thought, okay, I'll go to McDonald's, get something quick, get something easy, and then one of the things I'll tick off this morning is going to the supermarket and getting some groceries. So I got up, got clothes on, got ready and headed out the door, and I jumped in the car. And I headed first off for the service station because my fuel was low because, again, executive dysfunction, disorganization, these are hallmarks of ADHD, and I'll tell you there's plenty of it with me. So not only had I run out of breakfast, I'd run out of fuel too. But anyway, I jumped in the car and I did get fuel. Tick. That was a good start. Okay, tick. Good. Now, also this morning I wanted to go to the gym, which is important for my mental health as well. You know, it's a bit of an intervention. It's not just about going to the gym and working out. Physically, it's a mental thing as well. And then I was in had a bit of a problem because I didn't know which I should be doing first. Now that I've got the fuel and I went to McDonald's and I got some food, some breakfast, although that put me in a bit of a shitty mood because, I shouldn't be having these McDonald's. I need to be more organized. I thought, right, what's next? Do we go to the gym or do we go to the supermarket? And I tell you, I've just got home from driving around Newcastle for 2 hours and I didn't achieve either of those two goals. I went past the gym twice. I went past about 5 supermarkets and I just could not focus and hone my attention to the task at hand. I couldn't even pick which task it was that I should be doing. And that is a bit of a problem with ADHD. It's not just that you can't attend to specific tasks at specific times. It's the fact that everything is a priority. So normal people, even though I hate saying that, from what I understand, and this is a bit of a foreign concept to me, but are able to prioritize in logical steps what activities or events or tasks they need to achieve throughout the day and spread it out over the day and know exactly what sort of direction they want the day to head. See, with me and other people with ADHD, everything is an equal priority. So everything's the same. And the problem is when everything's the same, you get overwhelmed because there's too many things that you feel like you should be doing right now. And what happens is you do none of them. You just sit there like I've done so often. I'll just sit on the edge of my bed and just be thinking about the day that's coming and try and understand and figure out what I should do first. It can take so long some mornings. Even simple things like, do I brush my teeth first? Do I get a glass of water? Do I have breakfast? Do I have a shower? Do I check emails or whatever? Sometimes in the past especially, but recently as well, I would just sit on the edge of the bed and just not be able to figure out what step I should do first. And really, when you think about it, how about we just do something? That'd be a good start. Just do anything, Elliot. Just get off the bed, have a shower, just do that. Or just brush your teeth. It doesn't really matter at this point. Just get the day moving. And unfortunately, today's been a bit like that. Sort of got the first steps out of the way, and then all of a sudden everything else was the same priority and had the same importance placed on it. and I just could not figure out which to do first. So what I did was just drive around Newcastle doing laps, and then in the end, I just drove back home, and here we are creating this podcast episode now as well, because that was also one of the priorities that I couldn't figure out what order to do. So I came back home and I thought, let's just get this episode out there and we can tick that off, and then who knows, maybe we'll go to the gym next, then the supermarket, I'm not sure. But it sounds trivial, but it's not. This is a real problem that I have, trying to figure out what it is I should be doing and then being able to hone my attention on the task at hand and picking what the task at hand will be. It's so frustrating. And this is the thing. It's more than just frustration. So recently, my mood has been very brittle. It hasn't taken much to put me into the negatives. So any little sort of setback or minor inconvenience, I've unfortunately found myself catastrophizing and amplifying the problems surrounding whatever the hell has happened. Now, the thing is, ADHD gets in the way of me achieving what I need to achieve in my environment. Now, achieving things fires off dopamine. You may remember the last episode I was talking about my dopamine-starved brain. Well, that's because, in part, because I have ADHD. ADHD is a disorder of dopamine lacking, the lacking of dopamine in certain parts of the brain. Now, so as a result, I need as much dopamine as I can get because I'm already behind the 8 ball straight off the bat. If I'm not achieving things, not only do I not get the flood of dopamine to tell me I'm doing good stuff and to keep going, I get very depressed very easily. And that is also what has happened this morning. Not only am I frustrated that we haven't been able to get done what we want to get done, I'm now getting depressed because, this always happens. We've not achieved anything. We're wasting the day. We're wasting our life. We are a waste of life. That is how it cascades into something huge. And it all started with not knowing if I should go to the grocery shop first or if I should go to the gym. And unfortunately, because I've achieved neither, it's a double whammy of negativity. And I'm losing out on that dopamine that I really, really need. So as I said, I'm not medicated for ADHD at the moment, and I think it's causing a lot of problems. And hopefully, when I get the opportunity, I'll state my case as to why I think a stimulant medication, again, would be a good idea. Because, like I said, this isn't just, I suppose, confined to the realm of ADHD. This then spills over into depression, like I outlined, but also spills over into anxiety. So because I'm not achieving things, but I know there's things that I should be doing, but I feel unable to do it, what that does is causes lots of anxiety because I look into the future and I see me not achieving things, and it's a big concern, it's a big worry, and I don't know what to do. And when you get overwhelmed, people tend to go into freeze mode. And then freeze mode feeds the ADHD because we are then physically, mentally unable to push through and complete the goals we need. So ADHD and anxiety is so intrinsically linked. And for me, it then links with depression as well. So I've said before on this show how my mental health story has a pretty broad scope. And a reason for that is because I have so many disorders to my name, unfortunately. And this is a great illustration of how my story, at least, and my experience is not confined to a nice, neat little box. Everything that happens or doesn't happen tends to spill over into multiple diagnoses, and then there's ramifications for that. Then they work with each other to bring me down. And that's what's happened this morning. ADHD has made it near impossible for me to get anything done. It's the reason why I had no cereal in the cupboard to begin with, because my organisational skills are so bad. And then straight away, as soon as I get up knowing that fact, it just puts you on the back foot. The depression starts to seep in, and then all of a sudden our motivation, our inspiration to try and get things done is knocked for six. And then the anxiety kicks in and says, right, if you're not able to complete these simple tasks, you're screwed, mate. You're screwed. Looking to the future, bad things are going to happen. And that is how those three this morning have worked together to bring me down. So I don't know if you can tell by the way I'm talking through gritted teeth, but it is so frustrating and so disheartening that this has happened, because I had some really good ideas for today, and now I'm going to have to find the inspiration, the motivation from somewhere to go out again and try and complete these things that need doing. Now, one of the ways that you can avoid this sort of scenario from happening is to be really routine based. And this is why people with ADHD are always recommended, always, to have solid routines. Because when I'm sitting on the edge of the bed and I can't figure out what it is I should be doing first, second, third, fourth, really that tells me I haven't planned adequately, probably the night before, for the day to come. If I have a really solid routine and structure, which I'm still working on, I'm trying to get it locked in. Obviously, I haven't been able to do it just yet, or else this episode wouldn't be happening. But if I have and other people with ADHD have a really solid routine and structure, you can then fall back on the safety of said routine and structure. So it's like, hang on, there's no confusion because I've already written this down. We're having breakfast first, then we're having a shower, then we're brushing our teeth, then we're going to the grocery shops, then we're going to come home, and then we're going to the gym, and then we're doing blah, 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 blah. You get what I mean? And the problem is, I haven't been smart enough in managing my ADHD because, I say, yeah, stimulant medication would help, and it definitely would. It would blast me out of this confusing fog. But at the same time, I'm not helping myself because I should have a solid routine in place where I know exactly what I'm doing hour by hour. It's all written down. It's all ready to go. There's no confusion. We fall back on the routine when we're a little bit confused what to do next. But then that gets rid of that confusion. So, it's not as simple as just having medications. People do think often, I've found, just talking to people over the months and years and whatever, that with ADHD, it's all about medication, but it's definitely not. The medication is only a tool to help facilitate your ability, obviously, to get things done, but part of that is to create these routines and structures. Routine and structure for anybody is so important, but I cannot stress enough how important it is for people living with ADHD. And I'm a very good example of that because today has all fallen apart because I have not had that routine or structure in place to fall back on when a bit confused about what I should be doing next. It should already have been written out and it should have been at the front of my mind, boom, 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 boom. And the thing is, when you start ticking boxes and getting those tasks done and those little things that you've written down, every time you tick one of them off, the dopamine fires up. You're getting that amazing feeling that you're doing good. You're doing good by yourself. You're doing good by others in your environment, whatever. But you get that feeling that things are going good. You're ticking things off and you build momentum. You build momentum by ticking things off. Start small, but then as you go through the list, the momentum builds, and then that can carry over to the next day. Then all of a sudden, instead of being behind the 8 ball on the back foot like I was this morning, you're actually ahead of the game and you're doing the routine and you're within that structure without even really thinking about it, and the dopamine is fueling you every step of the way. But unfortunately, because I didn't have that routine set out for today, I've suffered as a result. And also I think because I don't have that stimulant medication to fall back on to really blast us out of that ADHD fog. And as a result, because I haven't built up that momentum, we've got some depressive, negative thoughts, ruminations coming in, and then we've got the catastrophizing of the anxiety saying, listen, if you can't get these simple things done, you're in big trouble, bucko. And that's not a good thought either. And then all of a sudden you've got 3 disorders working together to bring you down. How do we get to this place? How do we get into this space? Dear idea. Anyway, I'll tell you how, because of lack of routine and possibly because of lack of a stimulant medication, but definitely the routine is so important and is something that I really need to work on. Anyway, that is my little rant for today. That is ADHD and how it has played havoc with my day so far today. So wish me luck, everyone. It's only 12:30. There's still enough time for me to turn this around, but we're going to have to find the inspiration from somewhere because not only is the ADHD firing up, but the depressive thoughts and the anxiety is as well, which, it's so annoying. There's bombs going off all around me, but hey, we're still here, still in the fight, and today is not a write-off just yet. All right, well, in saying that, I better go because I need to get some things done. Thank you for listening as always, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the show here at the Dysregulated podcast.